Hello, my name is Megan White, and my channel is Art Garden Oracle, where I share my love of art, permaculture, gardening, herbalism, astrology, and tarot, and how I see the divine weaving its energy through these passions of mine. I'm very, very new to YouTube and putting myself through a video creating crash course as I simultaneously just go for it with content. So thank you for being here and for your patience and constructive feedback as I learn and grow. I'm starting with tarot hashtag VRs as they are the most beginner friendly for me, but soon you will see new content on art and gardening too. I'll keep everything organized in my playlist as they grow so you can find the content you like. As always, liking, subscribing, and commenting are appreciated so I can learn what does and doesn't work as I grow. Today, I will be responding to Marlene Teresa's hashtag tarot to the extreme. You can find all of the links that I tried to remember down below, as well as timestamps so you can navigate through the video quickly. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you enjoy the video. I loved this hashtag. I loved watching people's responses to it, and it's short and sweet, which I love, but somehow I ended up with so many decks, even though it's a short and sweet tag. This is the first Tarot to the Extreme is Minimalist versus Maximalist decks. So I just got this deck. I've used it a bunch considering how recently I got it, and I love it so much. This is the Narrative Alchemy Tarot from Chrissy Bentley, who is on TarotTube. I got it from Make Playing Cards together with Thea at Garden Goddess Tarot's Hellenic Oracle, which I also love so much. And this is my minimalist deck. I mean, the backs aren't so minimalist, but certainly the fronts are. So there are correlations to the cards here. So you have the number of the card in each suit plus the elemental symbol for the card. And then you just have one keyword for the card. And then the keyword correlates to chakras. From what I know, I have not gone and looked at the guidebook yet, which seems crazy, but it was just like so intuitive right out of the box that I just got excited using it. So I need to go back and read the guidebook, but I'm pretty sure from what I can tell already, like pursuit is a very sacral chakra word. So rumination, maybe not a heart chakra word so much. I don't know. I'll have to go look at the guidebook, but for the few readings I've done, it felt to me like the keywords totally correlated to heart chakra stuff, or sorry, chakras. But anyway, it's such a great deck. I also had planned on using it like an oracle too for just like chakra colors. And I also planned on using it like an oracle just for like the keyword, because sometimes a keyword is super helpful. So, and then the Roman numerals are the major arcana. So revolution for the wheel, yeah, equilibrium for justice. Yeah, it's just a great deck. So capacity for the Four of Cups. Yeah, I just think it's great. So 11 obviously is going to be Page of Wands. And it goes up to 14 for the King of the various suits. So yeah, Hope for Star. I don't know. I just think it's a really beautiful minimalist deck. It's really calming. I love the colors. So, I mean, it's not like just a purple, you know, it's like multiple shades of purple, which are just so, oh my God, that's so beautiful. It is a really lovely linen cardstock. And it's super slippery. So sorry for that. Ooh, that was exciting. Especially as like the coffee is just hitting my system. My other super fast, I'm just so excited about Narrative Alchemy and I want to shout it out. But my other super fast like minimalist deck too is the Fountain Tarot. I can't remember his name that made it, but it's also just like a super beautiful Jonathan Saiz and Jason Gruhl. Super beautiful, really simple, kind of minimalist cards that are beautiful. It wasn't as easy for me to read with this one. I mean, some of them, like Six of Swords, is like really clear and really beautiful. But some of these weren't. I really have to like sit there sometimes and think of the Rider-Waite image before I can kind of tune into the card meaning. And I think I was getting hung up on that a little bit, you know, in terms of like not reading it intuitively. I think if I let go of trying to think of the Rider-Waite card, that I could read it intuitively better. But, you know, my intuitive reading skills, I'm building them, and I'm realizing I'm a little bit better at it than I thought I was, but I still don't feel confident sometimes with my intuitive reading skills. Okay, and then for my Maximalist deck, this guy, Journey to Enlightenment Tarot. I can't remember if I showed this. I think I might have showed it as like an honorable mention on my mass market decks. But this one is just like so cuckoo crazy art. I love it. I love all the color. I mentioned this on some of my other videos too, that like I have an everywhere art aesthetic style. Like I love so many different kinds of art. From like, yeah, every single genre. And I love this. I love the color. I love how busy it is. But I can still read really well with it. Like I can still pull the card meaning from it. Yeah, like the Three of Pentacles. This one's maybe one of the less busy ones. But it still is like really easy to read with. And the guidebook's great. But yeah, it's a busy deck for sure. My other kind of busy deck mention, I promise I don't have two for every single one of these, but I really had a hard time choosing on some of these. My other busy deck mention that I love, and again speaks to my like all over the place art style preferences, is the Klimt Tarot. These are foiled. I always get that wrong. Foiled versus gilded. I think foiled. But you know, Klimt, a lot of people know The Kiss, which is in here as one of his most famous artworks. But his artwork is just like full of shapes and colors. I mean, some of these are a little bit more quiet. They've quieted his artwork down somewhat in creating this deck. But yeah, it's got kind of, it reminds me, these like little shapes and everything all over the place remind me of the Journey to Enlightenment Tarot too. It's with similar kind of shapes and dots and colors and designs all in the background for both of these guys. But this deck is so beautiful, so beautiful. Oops, I don't know why these are turned over. It must be from a reading or something. Sorry, these are my guides, so I don't like get the tarot off the picture. So that's another Maximalist deck. All right, the next one is Day versus Night deck. Let's try and put a couple of these back as I go so I don't have decks falling all over me. So my Day versus Night. Okay, I only have one for each. I was showed restraint and followed the rules. Day versus Night, Herbcrafters Tarot is my day deck. This was also in my only 10 mass market decks. It's just such like a, yeah, it's like, yeah, garden and plants by the light of day. I mean, I don't think there's a single nighttime card in here. And it also just has that really bright kind of cheerful energy to me. This is very much like a hug deck for me. But yeah, there's just lots of light and lots of greenery. Lots of, yeah, windows with the sun pouring in. Just feels like a very, very day deck. So beautiful. I love this artwork. So that is the Herbcrafters Tarot for my day deck. And then my nighttime deck is this like total, this is a new deck to me. But same with Narrative Alchemy. I've just used it so many times already. And I love it so much. This is the Tarot of the Holy Spectrum. It's an indie deck by Chase Voorhees. It does not come with a guidebook at all. He intentionally didn't do a guidebook. And yeah, it's just a very black deck. So it just feels very nice. The backs are just flat black backs. It's got a very graphic quality to it. Really very Rider-Waite Smith based, but there's a few cards where he diverges quite a bit from the traditional imagery. But yeah, it's just, I love the simplicity of this deck. I love how clear the messages are and everything. It feels so easy to read from. And some of the I mean, this could have been a minimalist deck too, but some of the really simple images, it's amazing when I've used it for readings, like how much comes up for me because the images are so simple. Like I just have like memories of things that'll totally jive with the meaning of the card and bring me really deep into it. Yeah, it's just really beautiful. Like, it's a really beautiful deck. I'm really happy with it. But yeah, it feels very nighttime to me. Not dark in any way. It's been like a very, yeah, happy, you know, whatever. It shows both sides. It shows the light and the dark pretty easily. But yeah, the spectrum part of it is kind of similar to Narrative Alchemy. It's just got kind of a system based on the color spectrum. And it's all shuffled right now, but I want to say the majors kind of goes through the rainbow. And then I know the court cards of the 4 suits are all in the same color, but then the other minors aren't all in one suit, all in one color. There's more of a range, 1 through 10, but then the court cards are all in the same color family. And it's also, yeah, it comes this way. I didn't do the edging. It's just a gorgeous deck. So it's my night deck. Oh, this one's good. I like this. The best and worst shuffle. Okay, I'm gonna start with the worst shuffle, but I absolutely love this deck. It's the best deck. The Mother Tarot. This is another indie deck. It is a square deck, which I really like. It's my only square deck. And my other videos, I talked about how I started my only deck for like 20 years was a round deck. So I don't mind like weird shapes of things. I don't mind shuffling hard things, but this one, it's a little sticky, which isn't a big deal. But the cards are so thick. I'm not even going to show it because I did ruffle shuffle this quite a bit. I wonder if I can find the card. And I was like, oh, I think I can ruffle shuffle this because overhand shuffle I don't know, it just feels hard. So I was riffle shuffling it and I bent a card like brand new out of the box and I almost cried. So I was like, okay, I'm never riffle shuffling this deck again. So yeah, it's not like total torture, but I'm mostly including it because I made the mistake of riffle shuffling it and like permanently damaged a card and I'm so bummed. And clearly like it's too small and square and like thick cardstock to be a riffle shuffle deck. The backs are so beautiful. This is a very kind of earth-based deck. Very much like, yeah, healing of Mother Earth, the Mother Tarot part of it. Who's the creator? Ren McMurdo Brignac. She did Dark Days Tarot, which originally I wanted to get the Dark Days Tarot, and I switched over to this one. The art style and the colors of this deck I just really love so much. And I think I have like a lot of shadow decks already, Even though I do really love the Dark Days tarot, I couldn't afford both right at the moment. And sorry, warning, nudity probably in more than just this deck. But yeah, I just love the color palette of this deck. I love the energy of it. It's much more of a I love the kind of activism of it, of really kind of speaking to the what we're doing to the earth, and kind of lots of calls to action to do better. And I think the artwork does such a good job of conveying the messages and showing both the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith meanings and giving this really gorgeous meaning to the activism of the deck too. Lots of, it's a very diverse deck. It's a very kind of, it's a good Uranus deck, like really just edgy in some places. Like the Lover's card is a threesome card, which I think is amazing. And a lot of gender fluidity in the cards, which I find really beautiful. So yeah, very modern and gorgeous. But please, please, please don't ruffle shuffle it. Or if you do, yeah, just tell me that it's possible and I don't know what the heck I did to it. My best shuffle, I have a couple. I should have just undone all of these decks before. The thing I never thought about and never realized watching all these tarot tube videos that I have watched is like how much work it is to get all the decks out and get them out and show them and put them back and then put them back on your shelf, and like try not to have just a total mess all the time. It takes a lot of time. So my best shuffle always are the Fournier decks. I love them. I have smaller hands, even though I try to pride myself on being a pretty proficient shuffler, even of big decks, riffle shuffle included. I've been playing cards since I was like 4. It was like one of the first things. It was always just like family bonding. So I don't know. I love shuffling cards. But these guys are just smaller, and so it works with my smaller hands. They're smooth. But unlike some other really smooth decks, I should probably shuffle them to actually show this part. Unlike other really smooth decks, they don't just like fly out of my hand all the time, but they fly just enough for me to get pop outs when I'm doing overhand shuffle, which I like. I usually read with pop outs most of the time. But yeah, it's just like such a satisfying shuffle, such a satisfying bridge. People like on Amazon and all these places freak out about the Fournier deck cardstock. This is, I didn't even say that, sorry. This is Tarot de Carlotides, or Carlotides. I think it's Carlotides, but it's a Fournier deck. And I love this deck too. I can't remember if I put it on my 10 mass market decks, but it's amazing. It's such a cute deck. But anyway, people on the reviews of these decks online just like freak out about how terrible the cardstock is, and it drives me crazy because I think the cardstock's awesome. I don't know. I use this one a lot. It doesn't even show a tiny bit of wear. This is just another example. This is Tarot del Fuego. It's another Fournier deck that's like the exact opposite color palette of Carlotides. But yeah, it's just bendy. It holds its shape beautifully. It's smaller. It's super easy to shuffle. Oh, I shuffled those in, so that's fine. But yeah, it does like move around a little bit, but not as much as like the Flow Tarot is another smooth cardstock. Oh man, I really did that. Is another smooth cardstock deck that slides, but it just slides like it slides all the way across the table. I can't stack that thing on its own under any circumstances. So Fournier decks, just generally speaking, because there's a few of them. I think the only ones I have are those two, Tarot del Fuego and Carlotides. I like Los Scarabeo. decks too for the shuffle. They make a few that are like bigger, but like the Tuck Box Lo Scarabeo, the Duloc, and the Bower, and what's another one? Oh, even the I think the Medieval Scapini. I think that's a Lo Scarabeo. It's a little bit bigger than like the Duloc, but it shuffles beautifully. Oh yeah, those Tuck Box Lo Scarabeos are good shuffles too. All right, let's see. I covered up my list. So best versus shuffle. Okay, Confronting versus Comforting decks. New era for a Confronting. Whoops. It is a US Games deck by Eleanor Piper. I'm assuming Piper. It's another deck that is like very rooted in bringing Rider-Waite-Smith and Thoth imagery into the modern era, which makes sense. It's very like activist oriented, but in a, I don't know, the Mother Tarot makes it like beautiful and it's still there, but this one is just, this really like kind of hits you over the head with the ways we're screwing up the earth, like hurting wild animals. This is one of the more gentle ones, and there's plenty of light cards in here, but this is one of the more gentle ones in terms of like, yeah, hard to look at and ways we're hurting the earth. I love this deck, and I've talked about this in my other videos. It's really important. Okay, see, I had to like, there's one card in here I really don't want to show because it's so triggering. Several cards that like I feel like I couldn't show online because it would be so triggering to someone. So I got to be kind of careful. But anyway, I mentioned on other videos that the light and the dark in tarot or oracle cards is super important to me. Like I don't want to like shut myself off and pretend like I'm not making decisions that hurt other people or hurt the earth. I want to look at that sometimes. I maybe, struggle to look at it every day, but, oh God, that was another one. But yeah, maybe not going to show that one. That one really like hits me in the stomach. So yeah, it is a very confronting deck. It is not for everyone, but I find it really powerful. Sorry, I'm just going to find a couple of the confronting cards. Like this is another one. You see the city and this waterway that's all dried up and these fish that are just here dying. Yeah, there's some really hard ones in here. I mean, even just these nature ones, which for me, when it's like the natural order, it's a little bit harder for me to take. But yeah, there's like a genocide related card in here. There's just a lot that are really, really difficult. There's one, the tower is actually like the Twin Towers, and it's also it's like a dual, I think it's a Berlin Wall as well. So it's a very confronting deck. I really love it. I think it's beautifully done. I like that it has Thoth and, it has the astrological symbolism in there. I like that it's Thoth and RWS both. It's really easy to read. And despite the really confronting cards, like it's not killer in terms of the readings. Like I've actually had really gentle readings from it. But every time I flip through and I hit some of those really difficult cards, yeah, it's something that would be hard to do every single day. Comforting deck. So this is one, Tarot of the Abyss by Anna Turian. I kind of didn't want for a while. I heard some like conflicted reviews on it. Some people that like love it, some people that didn't love it as much. I held off for a long time getting it. I wanted a black and white deck. Yeah, just kind of like a calming color palette deck. I really love her artwork. It's not like exactly my aesthetic, but I think it's amazing and beautiful. But yeah, I will say there have been a couple of decks that were big hyped, and then I got them, and I was like, felt good about my decision to get them, and then I would flip through it and just be like, oh, I don't know if I love it. And this was one where I flipped through it. I said that. I was like, I don't know if I love this deck. And I kind of put it away for a while, and then I was like, no, I need to read with it. And I started reading with it and loved it. The readings were really good, really gentle, really, really powerful and on point. Really showed me stuff I needed to look at, but in really gentle ways. Yeah, it just felt like the way a friend would tell me something hard that I could totally take, or the way a friend, like if I was really down on myself, would show me something positive. So it has been a really gentle reader for me, and a really gentle, comforting deck. So I put that one in there because it was just a surprise. It was kind of one that I waffled on forever, and then I got it, and I thought I was upset that I got it, and then I started reading with it and liked it a lot. Oh, that's interesting that my Comforting and Confronting were kind of black and white decks. I guess New Era is more sepia, but Everyday versus Every So Often is the next one. Oh, okay, so my Every So Often, I don't know why this is Every So Often. It's not because it's particularly confronting. Is the Touchstone Tarot by Cat Black. This deck is gorgeous. I think it's so beautiful. I love the backs. Something about the backs, I don't know. I have several gold detailed decks, like the Klimt. I think, actually, no, I said I have several. Those might be my only two, because it's not really something that is my jam. I think it's beautiful, but something about this with the brown back, and same with the Klimt, of all the gold decks and the RWS decks and stuff. Those are the extra cards. These are the only two where I was just like, yes, I want the gold things. Really spoke to me. She also did the Golden Tarot. Is that what it's called? I don't have that one. This one spoke to me more for some reason. And I don't know why I only use this ever so often. I think it feels a little precious to me for some reason, which is funny because it's a mass market deck. It was not expensive. And, the artwork is gorgeous. I love the artwork. It's not super diverse for sure by any means, which she addresses, and I appreciate that. She addresses in her book that these are European. I can't remember what. I feel I should be ashamed for not knowing the period of art that this is. I'm not gonna find it quickly. Renaissance artwork. Okay, so she talks about that and acknowledges it in the deck that European Renaissance artwork just did not feature diversity, but she pulled exclusively from those artworks. So yeah, it's a beautiful deck, and I tend to read with decks that are easier to shuffle. I don't know if I riffle shuffled this. I think I did. These are bigger than typical cards for sure. And big cards don't usually bother me. So yeah, I think it just feels more like an art deck to me a little bit than kind of an everyday reader, but I still find it beautiful, and it does read very well. And I do feel, and she says this in her book too, in the guidebook, these people very much have a personality. I really like how they're looking at you, and I don't know, you can see their facial expressions. So yeah, it's a good reader. I just don't use it every day. And then my everyday reader is, honestly, I couldn't pick just one because I love flipping all the decks around all the time. So this is kind of a cop-out answer, but it's like any Rider-Waite-Smith deck is my everyday deck. So I always usually try to use something that's a little more obscure and hard for me to read that's not a Rider-Waite-Smith. So I always have a couple decks in my monthly basket for that sort of thing. And then I always also have several RWS based decks that are just, I can read very easily. And this is the Flow Tarot. Oh crap, I forgot the book again. I did this last time I showed this deck. I'll link it below since I can't remember the creator's name. She's great. And I'm putting this one in here because it's such a weird one. This one also reads RWS. I can read it really easily RWS, which is kind of weird. A better example of something I would grab that's an RWS clone to read with any day is obviously like my RWS, which is just the yellow box plaid backed RWS, or Tarot Pagan Cats, which is just a really direct RWS clone, and Cats, which is my jam, and I love it. So yeah, that's my everyday, is just anything RWS based. The Uncommon Tarot works here, the Journey to Enlightenment Tarot, Tarot of the Holy Spectrum. I mean, some are more divergent from RWS. This one is just like so directly RWS in all the lovely ways. Maybe not that card. Here. Has some different imagery on it. Yeah, it diverges quite a bit. But anyway, I can still see the RWS immediately in this deck. And I love it. It's amazing. So kind of a cop-out answer, but it just, especially as my collection has grown, there's really not anything that's just like 100% every day, all the time kind of deck. I'm gonna have to edit this. Oh my gosh, I had to pause the video because I thought I forgot my kids at the bus stop. That will be the day my tarot focus stops. Okay, confronting every day versus every so often. And then over versus underrated. I have so many underrated decks. I should probably make a video. Maybe I'll do that one. My overrated deck, I feel like I'm going to make people angry, but this is my overrated deck, Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. Before I ever got on TarotTube, I bought this deck because I was looking for a great goddess, like just a good goddess tarot. This deck like had a crazy moment on TarotTube last year. I feel like I saw it in every video. It was really high up on the top 10 mass market decks. I was just really surprised. This is, honestly, I got this not long after I got my RWS, which took me 20 years of tarot reading to get my RWS. I started on Mother Peace and really just stuck with that for a really long time before I got my first Rider-Waite-Smith. And then I got this one shortly after. And so what I will say about this, even though I'm saying it, I feel like it's a little overrated, because I pulled it out and I just really didn't connect with it. I find the artwork beautiful, but I couldn't read with it to save my life. But it was before I did my kind of intense RWS study. So I'm gonna come back to it and spend some time because I think I'll get it and I think we'll get along. But when I saw it all over the place this year, or this past year, back into 2022, as almost like so many people's top 10 mass market decks, I was just like, what the heck? I did not feel that way about it. So yeah, I always thought it was beautiful. I just, like, honestly, I kind of regretted it when I bought it. And then I started seeing it on TarotTube. I was like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't regret it and I should just revisit it. And so that's where I'm at now. I need to revisit it and see if it works differently now that I have worked with a lot of different decks and I have my RWS like kind of tightly dialed. So please don't hate me. I'm not saying it's awful. I'm just saying I haven't figured it out yet. That's all. I have so many underrated decks. I'm not going to go through this one because I talked about it in my top 10 mass market decks, but this is the Hoodoo Tarot and I love it and I think it's amazing. And if you haven't seen it, I hope you check it out. It is a really wonderful mass market tarot deck and I think it's not, I almost never see it and I think it's wonderful. I also put this one on my top 10 mass market deck, the Uncommon Tarot. It's another one that I just feel like is really beautiful illustrated kind of artwork collage. Same thing that I never see on TarotTube. And I use it all the time. It goes with a lot of different things. I can read it really, really clearly and easily, and the booklet has wonderful reversed meanings. But the one that I'm actually including in this one, the same thing, I feel like a lot of people have like talked about it here or there, but I never really see it on videos, is the Pasta Tarot. And it is a mass market deck. It's super affordable. I find it delightful. It's so cute. It's got this like, is this linen? I don't know. It's got this textured plastic. It's not plasticky. I don't know how to describe it. It's got really different cardstock for a mass market deck that I like. Oh, here it is. By Rob Truglia and Jeff Petriello. I think they're partners. And then artwork by Lindsay Mound. So this is the only guidebook and it's pasta shapes. So wands are corta, which is, I looked all these up. Corta is, am I going to remember? Dang it. I'm not going to remember that one. Lunga is swords, and it's just long pastas. Ripiena is cups, and I think it's filled pastas is what Ripiena means. And then Minuta is matters of the body. It's tiny pastas. I just can't remember what corta is. Short pastas, maybe? Twisted. I don't know. I can't remember what that. I looked them up the meaning in Italian. But it's just like precious deck. It's super modern. It has this really weird color palette that I kind of love. It's super. The creators are are LGBTQ partners, so the whole deck is super diverse and awesome. It has so much personality. The tower is Leaning Tower of Pisa. I mean, it's amazing. There's blue people, there's, I don't know, just so many great, I mean, that's the Two of Cups. I don't know, the interpretation of every single card I found so delightful. Temperance, a woman pouring espresso from a mocha, from a Violetta maker, coffee maker. Sorry, this is what we use for coffee too. I just find it absolutely wonderful. The Ten of Cups, like a gay pride parade. I love it. I think it's a genius deck. I almost never see it. I don't think there's a card. There's a couple cards in here that bother me just because the color palette. I feel like, oh, why didn't you add a couple more colors in there? But there's not a card I don't like in terms of how it was interpreted. The Magician, this like grandma cooking pasta. I don't know. And the black and white tiles, and just, I find it all. Look at the devil, freaking lobster in a pot of black spaghetti or squid. I don't know if it's squid spaghetti or whatever. It's just, instead of chains. Oh, it makes me so happy. Anyway, highly recommend. Six of Wands. Eight of Cups. Oh, the Ten of Discs. I mean, just like all these wonderful people hanging out on a beach. Oh my god, I want to go through the whole deck. I'm not, because I know I'm already way past what I thought I was going to do on timing, but I think it's way underrated. I find it so fun. Oh, the Chariot. Such a good chariot with the black and white pigeons or whatever they are. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It makes me happy. Look, the butt crack. The Eight of Cups. And it's totally that, you know, kind of worker doing the grind and fulfilling his stereotypes. I don't know. It's so lovely. Page of Quarta is Wands. It's so great. I'm sorry. I'll probably chop this down a little bit so it's not so long, but I find it so delightful. The Eight of Wands, a bunch of penne going into the pot. It's just so genius. It's so genius. Like that guy as the Hermit. Yes. Five of Wands. That's genius. Like smoking cigarettes and, you know, the competitiveness of whatever game this is. It might be, and I don't know this game if it's Italian or something, but just like the fun of competitiveness and what a great meaning that is for the Five of Wands. I love it. Like the Ace of Cups, it's instead of the overflowing cup, it's the pasta coming out of the pasta water coming out of the colander. I love it. I love it. Okay, maybe this is the only card that I'm kind of like, what is going on? Because I thought it was weird that they put like eyes on these things. But I mean, it is the card where nothing as it appears. I don't know. That one's the only one where I'm like, why? Where did the like cheese with eyes come from? Anyway, love, love, love. Love the deck. Oh my god. Okay, I have to end on this note. The Hanged Man. What a freaking genius card for the Hanged Man. I didn't get this one at first, but I totally used to do this when you throw the pasta up on the wall to see if it sticks, to know if the pasta's done or not. And just what a genius. And then it's like, it'll sit there and it'll take a while to fall down. Just that like suspension and the suspense of like, is it gonna fall down or not? I don't know. Genius. I love this. I love this deck. Oh, and like, this has to be a shout out to Claire Danes and Romeo and Juliet and Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, which was my favorite movie when I was a preteen. So dating myself, but whatever. Okay, I'll stop. It's such a great deck. Okay, I got so lost. I apologize. Every time I bring that deck out, I remember how awesome it is. Okay, last but not least, light versus shadow work. I have 95 decks in my lap, so I gotta try to get the last ones. Okay, shadow work. This was in my only 10 mass market decks, and it's one of my favorite decks ever. And so I'm not gonna go through all of it, but Mary L from Mary White is like my 100% go-to shadow work deck. It's maybe my soul deck also. I love it. I find it beautiful. So many people struggle with the artwork. I loved it, every last bit of it from the moment I first saw it. It is very much a shadow deck for me, and I love, love, love it. The one I wanted to show that I haven't shown yet is this guy. This is Shadowlands Tarot by, oh man, I should have figured out. I'll also link it in the bottom because I forgot her name. She has a new article she just came out with. She has a Shadowlands Lenormand. But this deck was created as a shadow work deck, and it's called Shadowlands, obviously. A lot of people don't like the backs. I love the backs. It has the backs have a kind of Nightmare Before Christmas vibe. I find them delightful. I don't find that aesthetic in the cards at all, but I just love these quirky characters. It's a great shadow work deck that like, even though the characters are creepy, they're cute, and so it makes the shadow work not as intimidating. So yeah, I just think it's an adorable deck, and it was very much intended for shadow work. So Monica Bodersky is the author, and the other reason why I think it's such a great shadow work deck is because her book is huge and very thorough, but she has these great reflections on every single card. Hoodoo Tarot, which is another one of my favorite shadow work decks, has great questions, reflective questions in it, but she only does it for the majors. This one does it for every single card, kind of helps you dig into shadow work with questions. I have a lot of shadow work decks, which is funny. I don't feel like I'm a shadowy person, but I just really like exploring the depths of the psyche, and I like digging in. I'm not afraid of my shadows. Like I like digging into them. So I have a lot of shadow decks, and that's a big part of my tarot practice. So since I already showed Mary L, and since I also kind of felt like that would probably be a popular one, I am showing this one for my shadow work. I find this one really endearing too. The Four of Cups. Yeah, they're really adorable. Some of the shadow sides of the cards are really obvious if you're just reading it intuitively, and other ones aren't so much. Like this one, you know, like the Five of Cups is already kind of a shadowy card, and so it doesn't seem that different from RWS, but then other ones that are positive cards are shown kind of in the opposite. I mean, same as this one. This is still gives me that vibe of like childhood, you know, tea party. Seven of Cups. Yeah. So a lot of them don't illustrated in the illustrated way that she does them don't look like shadow representations. I'm trying to find one that does. The Chariot. Like this one kind of reads that way of, you know, this kind of has Giving Tree vibes to me in Justice, where the give and take of what's fair, you know, has this kind of shadow side to it, of kind of overgiving to others and that not being in balance. So like I said, some of the cards are more shadow oriented than others, but the book really digs into the shadow work through all the questions and everything. I had 2 Joanna Powell Colbert decks in this video. That is surprising. My light work is the Gaian Tarot. I just find this deck very healing and very positive. The workbook's the accompanying guidebook workbook is great. I trimmed mine. The cardstock did not. This could also be like a worse shuffle. This one, I don't know what version this is. It had silver edges. I cut off because it had this blue border that drove me nuts. But the cardstock doesn't feel really sturdy now that the silver's off the edges. But it doesn't destroy its light work or quality for me at all. Yeah, I just find it just this very contemplative, uplifting. I love this card. It's a balancing of the twins at the grocery store. That's like not that far distant in my future, in my past. I mean, yeah, it just has this very soulful. It's deep, but it's very positive and healing. And a lot, like, you know, I think there's a lot of cards in the RWS deck that are really hard for people and that freak people out. And for me, this deck, I feel like I could use this with anyone who was like afraid of tarot, and they wouldn't be afraid of anything in this deck. Yeah, it's just lovely and beautiful. And clearly, I like her artwork. I mean, I can feel the datedness of this artwork. But Herb Crafters feels a little bit more contemporary. I didn't look at the publication date on either of them, but yeah, there's just something like nostalgic about this artwork too, where it's just like, I don't know, I feel like my daydream hippie mom, which my mom is absolutely not a hippie, but it just feels like the quintessential like hippie mom made deck, you know. I don't know if that makes sense, but feels very warm and comforting. Okay, that is the end of my Tarot to the Extreme. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was fun. I hope I didn't do too many decks for you. I would love it if you would comment, tell me if you agree or disagree with anything. If you have the secret to me figuring out the intuitive night goddess, please share it. I would really appreciate any comments, any likes, any subscribes. I'm very new and I am endeavoring to make my content better every day and get better at this whole YouTube thing, because I have got a lot out of it myself. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.